What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the Locks DFS NBA breakdown video. I am your host, Christian Hardy. I'm at ByHardy on Twitter. You can follow me right here at ByHardy. And I am ByHardy on DraftKings, and I am from LocksDFS.com, a provider of DFS content for NBA, NFL, and college football. We provide our lock sheets, value rankings, stud rankings, locks, and player grades on every single NBA slate. We also have a private chat for all of those memberships that I just talked about, NFL, NBA, and college football. If you haven't seen us before, go check us out at locksdfs.com. You can see us right here, locksdfs.com. Check out our passes. There's also a 3-sport trial pass on there you can try out as well. And we're going to be breaking down this 10-game NBA slate for Wednesday, December 4th. So, so we're going to talk about some of my favorite studs, some of my favorite values that have popped up so far today, and some of the best spots on the slate for on DraftKings. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start today by talking about the studs. Usually I kind of have been doing them at the end of the video, but today we're going to talk about them at the top. There are really three guys that stand out to me at the top in terms of, being like, we call studs pretty much like over like 7.8 basically is pretty much what I use as a stud. Top one for me is Luka Doncic. It's the league MVP right now, probably. Timberwolves are fourth in pace. We go over to the Vegas dashboard on Fantasy Labs, and actually can't pull it up, but the total is 230 right here. The Mavs have a 117 team total. So that game is definitely one I'm going to want to target in general. Both these teams are going to run pretty fast, have efficient offenses, especially the Timberwolves. Like I said, they're fourth in pace. So it's a pace-up game for the Mavs here. Luka averaging 1.78 fantasy points per minute. And there's just a lot of routes for him to get the value in terms of his assists, his rebounds. He's almost averaging a triple-double this year, and of course he's scoring 30 points per game. So there's a lot of ways for him to get there. He's my preferred option over Giannis, whose point per minute just takes a little bit of a dip when we have Chris Middleton in the starting lineup, who returned back to the starting lineup last night. Obviously, we're not going to see Giannis playing 22 minutes. That's pretty, that's just not going to happen. But it is a pace-down matchup for him. And he still prices if there's no Middleton. But that said, I'm not going to just be fully fading Giannis. He has the ability to break the slate, so I'm going to get exposure to I'm going to get exposure to Giannis anytime he's on the slate. That's just how it's going to be. So if you're playing GBPs, don't full fade Giannis, obviously. But I do prefer Doncic and cash just slightly. I would not argue with you if you wanted to go with Giannis, because he still is averaging about 2 fantasy points per minute, even when Middleton is out there. A little bit less, but Other stud I like a lot is Andre Drummond at 8.9K against Milwaukee. Detroit, we just talked about Milwaukee being in a pace down spot. Well, Detroit has the best pace up in the league. Milwaukee is the fastest team in the league. And they have a pretty solid defense, but they also just are going to give Drummond a lot of opportunities to grab rebounds and do a lot of scoring. I think that Drummond will probably be at his as long as this game stays relatively close, we're going to see Drummond probably at his minutes ceiling here, which can be this 38-minute game. In games where they're chasing, they need to do scoring or to do a lot of scoring. Drummond's going to need to be on the floor to do that for them to open things up. So I think that He'll play a lot of minutes, and even with Blake on the floor, he's at 1.4 fantasy points per minute. Obviously, Blake hasn't had a very good year so far this year, but I still think that Drummond will continue to be the guy on this team, and I think this price is definitely fair, especially in this spot. I think he's a very solid play. And then I was also just talking to Addy yesterday about how Damian Lillard's prices come down. I wasn't really interested in playing him at 8.4K against the Clippers because he's going to be up against Patrick Beverley. But today, 8.1K, I have a little bit more interest. The total on this game is 217. It's come down a point and a half. It's not on the screen. But so it's one of the lower totals of the day, which is, not great. But the price on Lillard just continues to plummet. Like I said, this is a guy who, 10 games ago was 10.1K and is now 8.1K. Obviously, the addition of Carmelo Anthony has hurt him just a little bit. But if we go to his fantasy point per minute, he's about the same. We go to his usage, it's about the same with Melo on the floor. It's about 28%. So I don't think that has too much of an effect on him, and I think this is a really good matchup, matching with Corey Joseph. Not too concerned about that. I'm not too concerned about the addition of Melo. The usage is still the same. I don't see any reason why Lillard isn't a very good play here at 8.1K. He'll be someone that I get plenty of exposure to tonight, and if people aren't going to play him because of his recent production, that makes me all the more excited about Damian Lillard tonight. Going on down here to some of the mid-range guys. Last night we saw Kristaps Porzingis be relatively popular and only played 22 minutes. He didn't really, if you played him in cash, he didn't bust your lineup, but he definitely didn't help too much. Value was like 33 points, and he ended up with 26. So only played 18 minutes though. So that's not going to be something we see regularly. And also, sometimes you can be worried about Kristaps on back-to-backs. This is not one of those spots because he only played 18 minutes last night, and so I have no concern about him if he needs to play the whole game, or not literally the whole game, but his normal allotment of minutes doing that in this game. So yeah, pace up game against Timberwolves, like I said with Doncic. At the end of the day, like if he's playing that full allotment of minutes, he's probably one of my favorite players in the slate at 1.2 fantasy points per minute. He's got upside in terms of 3-pointers. He's got upside in terms of blocks. We saw him get 5 blocks last night, which is the reason he even got 26 points in the first place. He has upside in blocks, and he has double-double potential as well, obviously averaging 9 rebounds per game. So really like Kristaps tonight. People might shy away because of his 18 minutes last night, but I would not want to be doing that. Definitely want to get plenty of Kristaps tonight in this spot. Going over to we're going to talk about more injuries as we get down here, but one of them, obviously, we still have the Brooklyn injuries where Karis LeVert and Kyrie Irving are still out. Kyrie is, he's still going to be out for a little while without a timetable for return, it looks like. So, the main prices that stand out to me here are these two right here, Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. So, Allen actually... So when Kyrie went out, we already knew from what we saw fantasy point per minute wise, when even before Kyrie was out, just in terms of them playing, normal, whatever Allen was playing. When Kyrie was off the floor, Allen was very much a more productive player, which tends to happen. The ball just starts to funnel towards the paint when a scoring guard is out of the lineup. We see that with plenty of teams. Take the Grizzlies, for example, with Joval. When John Morant, even last year when Mike Conley was out, Joval ends up getting a lot more just racking up a lot more statistics, doing a lot more scoring. Jarrett in that same situation. These two games, he got in a little bit of foul trouble, which is why we've seen his price come back down. So this first game, I think this was the first game without Kyrie here against Cleveland. He was an awesome option. I think I talked about him in my video that day. If not, I had plenty of exposure in that day. He obviously broke this slate. Basically, you needed to have him on that slate. Next game, he goes up to 7.6K. Doesn't kill you at that price. No one played him because he was too expensive. He got a $1,500 price range or price hike. Now he comes back down to 6K to face a really good matchup in Atlanta. I'm not scared about him facing any of those guys down low. Damian Jones starting, Alex Len off the bench. Just not concerned about any of that. Obviously, Xander Jordan behind him on the bench, but at the end of the day, Allen is the guy who's going to end up getting more minutes, 90% of the time. So I expect him to pretty much see 28 minutes on a regular basis, at least 26. These two games he gets 25 and 24, but he's in foul trouble in both of them. So this was first half foul trouble here. So yeah, if Allen is playing 28 minutes, he is at, let me see here. He's at 1.29 fantasy point per minute without Kyrie this year. So if you're giving him 30 minutes, he is just smashing this value. I think the upside is just massive, especially in this matchup against Atlanta. Both these teams are going to run pretty quick in pace. They're going to be around top 10 in pace. Brooklyn being top 5. So Jarrett has so many opportunities to grab rebounds. He's grabbed, look at these rebounds since Kyrie has left. Awesome. Scoring is up. He's getting more scoring opportunities except for in this game against Miami. Really, really like Jared Allen. And, Taurean Prince also projecting pretty well. His point per minute hasn't really gone up that much, just slightly with no Kyrie. But at the end of the day, you're getting a 5.8K player with a pretty solid floor because he can do scoring, rebounding, grab assists, grab some defensive statistics. Sorry, I got a little bit of hiccups there. Yeah, so I think that with no Karis and no Kyrie, we're going to see Taurean get enough usage where he has a pretty massive upside because he shoots threes and he can potentially grab a double-double with it if he grabs a bunch of boards. Not very likely, but possibly. And also, just worth noting that this total has risen 4.5 points since opening, and it's up to 229, which is second highest total on the slate. So I'm definitely going to want exposure to this game, and the fact that the total has risen like that makes me want to play Jared Allen all the more. I really, really like Jared Allen on the slate. Especially if no one's going to end up playing him because of his last two games. Want to talk just briefly about Bogdanovic. I know he's my cover boy. I mostly want to talk about the fact that he's my cover boy last game. Ended up on that slate, not really playing that much Bogdan. I did have a little bit of him. And it seems like the injury is really nagging on him. And that's why he only played 22 minutes in this game. It seems like that seems to be an issue for him. Usually he will come into the third, and then he'll play a lot of the fourth. That game he played a few minutes in the fourth. Played his normal minutes in the third, but also didn't play his normal. I think he only played a few minutes into the second, which he'll usually play a lot deeper. So, he just didn't play as many minutes this game. And another part of that could be, Trevor Ariza is back. Like, they're getting a little bit more healthy outside of De'Aaron Fox being out still, which is why we're interested in Bogdan in the first place, because when he comes off the bench, he will be on ball a decent amount. He's questioned. He actually is actually questionable today. He's been probable in the past few games, but he's actually questionable today, and probably going to keep me off of him because I don't think we're going to hear about him before this Portland game. But if we do know that he's going to be a go in this game at 5.7K, I still think, and he's going to be unowned because of this questionable tag. I do think that he has a ton of upside at this price. But, the hamstring injury is certainly concerning. The fact that Trevor Ariza might be taking some minutes is certainly concerning. How many, what did he play? Even at 12 minutes, that's hurting Bogdan at 12 minutes. So, because it's just taking up bench minutes, because he's already not starting. And also, Harrison Barnes has been a guy who continues to play a lot of minutes, so he's always pretty much a solid play. He's always in play, but, not someone I really want to feature on the video, but he's always in play because of the big minutes he plays. Okay, 2 injury situations to talk about on this slate. Obviously there is another one that I'm not going to mention with Joval being questionable. That's something that's notable. Sorry, I'm looking down here at my injury list. We have DeAndre Hunter also unlikely to play, so look for that starting lineup against Brooklyn. Like I said, I want exposure to that game. So, look who starts in place of Hunter. Kevin Huerter's back, so Cam Reddish is cheap, but I'm not really sure. Huerter's supposed to play 15 to 20 minutes. I'm not really sure where he's going to fit into that. I've got to look more into that, but I definitely will be looking into that Atlanta injury situation, trying to find some value there. But the 2 main injury situations are Ja Morant. Well, Ja Morant's out, but they've priced that correctly. He's been out for a while. The more notable one, I always mix up Ja Morant and Mike Conley because Mike Conley used to be Memphis, but Mike Conley is out today. And that's going to open up the starting point guard spot for the Jazz. It is a very low total against the Lakers here. Which is a little bit concerning, but, we're likely to see Emmanuel Mudiay start at point guard. He's been a .93 fantasy point per minute producer as a team's backup point guard so far this year. I think it's fair to give him 24 minutes as a team starting point guard with upside for 28 or so, and if he plays very well. He's probably going to be the top value on the slate for me at 3.2K playing, if he gets 24 minutes. Obviously there is a definite floor here, or a definite there's a definite low floor here, where Mudiay could score 12 points. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities, but I also think that Mudiay is he's not someone I'm gonna have 100% exposure to, but he's someone that if I need a 3K guy, he's probably gonna be the guy I go to. But the rest of these prices on Utah are actually really interesting. So I didn't talk about Rudy Gobert on Monday, but we actually graded him really well on the sheet because of this price at 7.4K. This is a tougher matchup, of course. He played Philly last game. The thing about Gobert and the thing about Mitchell, which while we're on this, I'll talk about Mitchell real quick. He's 7.1K, and he's probably going to get a little bit more on-ball duties with no Conley in the lineup, which I like. I like both these guys, actually, a decent amount, despite the tough matchup. And the reason is these guys will tend to play a little bit more in these, we see him play 36 minutes here against Philadelphia. We see Rudy Gobert against, he plays 36 minutes. We're going to see them at their minute ceilings in these games that are competitive and where the team is testing them to score, because these two are absolutely needed to run the floor on offense. Gobert and Mitchell, they set everything up for this team, and they need to be on the floor for them to be successful. Utah's a very good team, but those two are key components. They're not going to do a lot of scoring with their bench. Jeff Green, coming off the bench is one of their main guys coming off the bench. They don't have a great bench. They need these two guys to play as many minutes as they can in these competitive games. So that's why I like these guys. 7.5K, 7.1K for guys playing 36 minutes. I know it's a low total, but these guys are going to get most of the usage on this team. Mitchell might, like I said, might play a little bit more on ball today. Might get a little bit more minutes today with no Mike Conley even. In a game where these two players, like I said, are going to be very needed. It's a Western Conference game, against a premier Western Conference team. I think both these guys are very good GPP plays. I don't know how much they're going to be owned. But as of now, but yeah, I'm interested in both a lot. And if you want a flyer on Utah, Dante Exum, he's a guy who's never really come around. First round draft pick in 2015 that just has not really produced. But, if you give him the backup point guard minutes, and then you throw him in some other backup minutes, the 2 or something like that, you put him at 20 minutes, he's a pretty solid play at 3.2K. And of course, if he gets hot, he's a guy that they're going to want to give more minutes. He's weeks removed from his injury. I'm not too concerned about that at this point. I think the reason he's not playing minutes is he's just not playing minutes. He's just not part of the rotation. But, with Conley out, he could play some backup 1 minutes probably. You could give him like 12 backup minutes at the point guard probably, and then maybe give him a few minutes at shooting guard, if you give him 5 or 6, and then upside, for more if he produces. So he's a GPP guy completely for me. I definitely, unless he's starting a point guard or something, he's just going to be a GPP guy for me, which, noting that, definitely look out for that lineup. You're going to be able to switch off 1-for-1, whoever starts, but I'm pretty sure it'll be Moutier, but just keep that in mind. And then the last injury I'll talk about, going to be Marcus Smart for the Boston Celtics. Brad Wanamaker, I think, is going to start at the 2. With Smart out, we're just going to have to see what they roll out. But regardless, there is going to be some value opening up here. I mean, so I couldn't get the Wowie to work when I was doing research for this video. So I don't actually have the rates and the boost that people get with no Smart on the floor. But I'm going to assume that Kemba's rates go up, scoring, and probably his assist rate slightly as well. Tatum's expensive and probably not someone I'm going to really get too much of. But Jaylen Brown has been very productive at 7K, but he is 7K now, so he's kind of tough to get to, but at the same time, he should do a lot more shooting on the wing with no Smart. So, I the 3 guys I'm going to target here, I'm not too interested in Kemba or Jaylen Brown. There's going to be someone I kind of sprinkle in, but Brad Wanamaker definitely be a value at 4K if he's getting the start. We'll probably know before lock, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll know who's going to start, and if Wanamaker started, we could probably give him like 26 minutes or so. If he gets to start. If he's not starting, you can still give him a pretty solid floor of minutes off the bench, but I wouldn't be in love with him, at 4K off the bench. But he still would be someone I sprinkled in if he's coming off the bench in this game. And those are kind of the 2 injury situations I want to talk about. There are a few more that I'll be watching. Like I said, Bogdan, who the Hawks start, is Damian Lee going to be back today? That's a situation to watch because, Golden State is still very short. Against Charlotte, a very good matchup. Oh, D'Angelo Russell is coming back, actually, so they're not as short anymore. Yeah, so, this team is pretty much just ignore now until these prices get adjusted for D'Angelo Russell coming back. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I am Christian Hardy. I am Buy Hardy on Twitter and Buy Hardy on DraftKings. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Definitely be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you get these videos into your inbox every single day. And, we will see you guys back here next time. Good luck tonight, and peace.